Hello and welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Today we look at one of the biggest prisons in the UK prison system. HMP Prison Berwyn is a £250 million Category C adult male prison in Wrexham County Borough, which is in Wales. It is the largest operational prison in the UK, which opened on the 28th of February 2017 and is operated by Her Majesty's Prison Service. The jail's name was announced by the then Governor Russ Trent on the 17th of February 2016. The name Berwyn comes from elements of Middle Welsh, Bar, which means summit or peak, and Gwyn, which means white. A spokesperson for the National Offender Management Service said that the prison has been named after a Welsh mountain range. An original shortlist of 6 names was Bridgeway, Marcher, Craig Tan, D Vale, Whittlesham and Y Berwyn. These names were suggested by local schools, communities and historical societies. HMP Berwyn is the first publicly run super prison built in the UK, with a capacity when fully operational of nearly 2,200 inmates. The prisoners, who are referred to as men while in the prison, are housed in twin-bedded cells on landings with 44 rooms on each one. The rooms are equipped with basic phones on which the men can make calls to pre-approved numbers after they have been vetted by the prison authorities. Capacity is capped at 1,300 while staff recruitment continues. Capacity at the jail has been capped to 1,300 while staff recruitment continues. The prison was designed to house over 2,000 men and was supposed to be the cheapest Category C prison in the country, with a projected cost of £14,000 per inmate. However, when a report was made in 2019, it was noted that it was still incomplete and the cost of a prisoner was £36,000 per year. Staff at HMP Berwyn are expected to stick to a set of values. These values are: value each other and celebrate achievements, act with integrity and always speak the truth, look to the future with ambition and hope, uphold fairness and justice in all we do, embrace Welsh language and culture, and finally, to stick at it. There are 3 houses at HMP Berwyn: Alwyn, Bala and Ceiriog, each divided into 8 communities that can accommodate up to 88 general population residents. The communities are as follows: Alwyn C Uppers houses those with life sentences and intermediate sentences for public protection. Alwyn D Uppers houses enhanced life sentences. Bala B Lowers houses the healthy living. Bala C Lowers houses prisoners in the progressive unit. Bala D Lowers Gabaith is a resettlement unit. Bala B Uppers Mensai Manay is an assisted living unit. Bala C Uppers Sean Stockter is for veterans and first timers. Bala D Uppers is for improving family futures. Ceiriog A Lowers Snowdon is for mature residents. Ceiriog D Lowers is an induction and first night unit. Ogwen Care and Support segregation unit and houses up to 21 prisoners. In 2017, residents of the town Bala in Gwynedd were angered by the use of their town's name in one of the prison's houses, with a petition being started to get the name changed. The petition received over 400 signatures. The first governor, Russ Trent, who had also served as the project manager, was suspended on the 21st of August 2018 following unspecified allegations. Nick Leader assumed the role of governor in 2019. As of today, the number 1 governor is Danny Khan and has been at this post since October of 2018. The prison is run by Her Majesty's Prison Service as part of the Welsh region. HMP Berwyn was given an inspection in the early summer of 2019. The report went as follows. This report records our first inspection of HMP Berwyn, located near Wrexham in North Wales. Berwyn opened in 2017. It is the first prison to open under the management of public sector for several years and will be the largest prison in the country. Designated as a Category C training prison, the establishment held 1,273 prisoners at the time of the inspection. They were held in 3 residential units, which were in turn subdivided into a total of 8 communities. In time, the prison will be able to hold 2,106 prisoners, although we are told that currently the numbers are capped to allow for the build-up of staff as well as additional activity for the prisoners. Opening a new prison is a big challenge, especially when that process is a subject quite rightly of significant public interest. The challenges can be practical, but they can also be cultural. The prison opened with very clear rehabilitative vision, and it has faced resistance at times. The leadership team are still working hard to find and maintain the right balance between rehabilitation and security, freedom and control, sanction and rewards. As this report will show, some mistakes have been made and we identify some important weaknesses, but we also acknowledge the great effort that has been made to give this prison a good start. The prison is generally ordered and settled, and when measured against the test of a healthy prison, we found Berwyn to be a reasonably respectful place. Against our other tests, there were much more to do. Despite HMP Berwyn being a Welsh prison, about 75% of those held were from England. Arrangement for the reception and induction of new arrivals were impressive, and the clear majority felt safe on their first night. Our survey, however, revealed that about 23% of prisoners felt unsafe at the time we asked them, a figure comparable with other training prisons. Prisoner-on-prisoner assaults were lower than expected, but in contrast, prisoner-on-staff assaults were higher. Both measures seem to be on a downward trajectory. Some work was being done to reduce the violence. However, other than an interesting initiative on Glendure community aimed at supporting some challenging prisoners, the delivery often lacked drive and needed to be implemented more effectively. We found, for example, 25 self-isolating prisoners who were completely unsupported. Schemes and initiatives. Schemes to incentivize good behaviour were similarly ineffective. Good behaviour were also ineffective. Use of force was higher than in similar prisons, and incidences usually involved the full application of restraints. Oversight was satisfactory, and new strategies to minimise the need for force were being developed. The environment and quality of supervision in the segregation unit was generally good, but the regime was limited. Security arrangements were proportionate and supported by good policing. Drugs had been too readily available, but actions by the prison to reduce the drug supply seem to have had some impact, and the drug testing rate has reduced to 21.49%. This was, however, still too high, and the supply reduction initiatives require greater coordination and drive. There have been no self-inflicted deaths since the prison opened, and self-harm was comparatively very low, but arrangements to support and safeguard those who were vulnerable were not very good. Strategic leadership was weak. Case management of those in crisis needed improvement, and those at risk we spoke to did not feel very well cared for. Most staff at HMP Berwyn were inexperienced, but those we observed were doing their best to contribute to a relaxed and positive atmosphere. Many prisoners felt frustrated by staff inconsistencies and uncertainty. We also observed some poor behaviour going unchallenged, The prison had, however, recognised their need to support the staff, with their attention being focused on the basics of prisoner management. Formal consultations with the prisoners, prisoner applications and formal complaints were delivered with similar inconsistency. Were all very positive. The prison has been successful in its aim to make such a large prison feel small. There was a real sense of community in most wings, and staff teams and prisoners spoke of their community rather than a wing. The promotion of diversity and equality in contrast was poor, although healthcare provision was good overall. Employed prisoners had a reasonable amount of time out of their cell, but it was much worse for those without employment, who had about 2.5 hours per day. During spot checks, we found that 28% of prisoners locked up during the working day, which, for a new training prison, was very disappointing. Routines were rarely curtailed, but often delayed, and not all staff and prisoners fully understood the requirements of the daily schedule or regime. One of the greatest challenges facing the prison was the lack of activity places. It is difficult to understand how and why the procedure of work and training places for a new prison could be so delayed. Facing a rising population and too few activity places, prison managers have created a range of activities, and there was sufficient places for the current population, but some were inadequate in quality and lacked challenge. Even those that were available were not fully used. Many prisoners were unemployed or failed to attend, and staff did little to support a sound work ethic. In contrast, those attending education or vocational training generally received excellent teaching, made useful progress and achieved very well. Our partners in Eston assessed provision to be good or excellent in 4 of their measures, and adequate and requiring improvement in just leadership and management. The prison was struggling to develop its approach to offender management and resettlement. The makeup of the population was not as had been originally envisioned. There had been no assessment of the current need. Many prisoners were serving long sentences, presented a high risk of harm, and too many prisoners did not have an up-to-date assessment of risk, which is known as OASIS. Offender management caseloads were too high, and case management was inconsistent and reactive. Public protection measures were similarly weak, and the prison lacked sufficient offending behaviour interventions to meet the need of the population. Work to resettle prisoners was better, but about half of those being currently released. At the time of the inspection, resettlement support for these prisoners was due to end in April, which was a concern. In this inspection, we met many managers and staff who were working hard to make a success of this new prison. Senior managers described themselves as being on a journey, and we saw lots of work, many policies and numerous plans. What was needed was better oversight, better coordination and sustained delivery. The staff seemed to us to be a strength of the prison, but they needed to support in delivering the basics of consistency. We thought the prison had made a good start. We were impressed by the energy and optimism we observed, and there was clearly a potential to move on rapidly. We hope that our encouragement to focus on the basics and the few recommendations we make will assist in that progress, and we hope to guide HMP Berwyn to becoming an enduringly safe and rehabilitative prison. What are your opinions on HMP Berwyn? Do you believe that a jail which is based in Wales will be able to rehabilitate its 75% population which is returning to England? Have you or anyone you know been to HMP Berwyn? What was your opinions of the place? Please let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like and share, and if you're new to the channel, but you enjoy Street Crime UK content, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you can join us on the next video. Thank you for joining us today, and until next time, stay safe.